Hello, and thanks for investing some time with me here at Build Central. My name is Kyle Camp, and I lead our business development efforts here at BCI Build Central. Specifically, we're going to talk about the hotel industry and planning for 2021, and looking forward to sharing a deep dive into the data here with you and Hotel Interactive. Just wanted to take a time and note the date today and just share my condolences to those that may be grieving during this day and this all of us that are remembering this moment in time called 9/11, and just give a recognition to the day that it is so due. Build Central, just a little background on our business. We provide construction and development information and insights into what's coming into the marketplace. We do that across all of commercial construction, but specifically tie into certain verticals. Today, we're going to be talking about our database called Hotel Market Data, and we're going to be utilizing the tool and the database in our portal to provide you the insights and the information, hopefully, that you find valuable here today. As for an agenda, we're going to spend a little bit of time. I'm going to share just very briefly a couple of thoughts on the consequences of COVID on the hotel industry, maybe that aren't being discussed, or maybe just haven't been discussed very directly. And then also 3 approaches for you to consider as you plan for your 2021 business development as it resolves around the hotel industry. Just some basic thoughts, and then we'll dive right straight into the data, at which time hopefully that will provide you information and encourage you to take action. So we'll review kind of 3 consequences. The first consequence of COVID that's becoming apparent in our research as we interact in the marketplace every day with our researchers based out of Chicago is the personnel. So what I mean by that is there are certainly displacements and furloughs, but we're seeing this kind of major migration that's showing up where people are moving out of the industry. If you scroll through your LinkedIn, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing I am, where talented individuals that have built a career or started a career in the hotel industry are looking to take those skills into other industries. And it's leaving a migration away from the industry of very, very strong talent. And the industry is shaken. And when that happens, it can create gaps in relationships. And so, I mean, if you just kind of, this graphic here was one of the most interesting that I saw. If you look at a resort hotel prior to COVID, they were staffed with 90 individuals. And in April of this year, they had an average 5 employees operating that business. There's just, it's undescribable sometimes, but this personal consequence of talent and people and networks that won't ever return. Not even when the market comes back, those individuals won't be coming back into the industry. It's very similar. I compare it to the skilled trades onslaught that happened when construction took the downturn in 2008, 2009, and when construction started to ramp up, people were very timid about coming back into the industry. And I think that's something that's going to be very strong. And so it's going to leave gaps. Second consequence I just thought I'd highlight is the cash stripped away from projects. So it makes sense that there will be, a desire to hold cash and be able to kind of weather the storm and do some mitigation efforts. And, there's been a lot about the PPP programs and others. But it's going to do some things when it's cash stripped from the project. It's going to cancel expansions, and it's going to pause or cancel construction developments, and it's going to do things where ownership changes of properties are going to be more fluid. So those with cash will be looking to create investments, and those that are needing the cash to kind of carry on with business will be looking for exits. And so we're seeing that in our interaction and the profiles that we report on. Just as an example, what you're seeing here on your screen is just a very small map of the 512 hotel projects that we have typed the word COVID into our research. So something around COVID has related or impacted that specific project. And so it could be anything from being canceled, which are the teal colors, to being, delayed or I put on hold. It would be part of the teal as well. But even in several hundred or just over 100 of these were actually temporary build outs where the hotel was turned into a quarantine in our COVID response category, quarantine or a medical facility. So this cash stripping is going to change the dynamics pretty quickly. But it doesn't mean it's all disappeared. It just means it's going to move and be coming from different situations, different locations. Third consequence is this COVID consequence would be firms, what I would consider over exiting. So there's going to be this reaction to quickly look to find other ways to fill that backlog. And so they're going to look, and we're seeing our customers come to us and look for more information where they want to diversify into other verticals very aggressively. Multifamily seems to be the primary, but senior living and even office and others are being strongly played out, which means those individuals that made up a significant part of the value chain of developments for hotels will have constraints on their timing as they come back into this. So the market's going to be missing players, not only just people, but players that really fill big, strong needs in this value stream for developments are just not going to be there, or they're going to be busy and have a strong eye on diversifying the portfolio and maybe not be as available for those development projects. So I think that's a consequence. So as we think about it then, and you look out into 2021 for your planning, just a couple quick thoughts that I thought I'd share. Perhaps you'd find some value in it. The first one is, because of the personnel, you're going to have to be very deliberate and intentional about mapping your relationships and remapping them, almost entering into this marketplace like it's a new to market type strategy where what you knew in February and April and who you knew and who they were with and where their influence is going to be significantly different. So thinking about in the end of 2020, getting ready for 2021, mapping that out and really understanding that and being deliberate about that will impact significantly your ability to leverage your network and give you the opportunity to figure out where you need to build or reconnect in your network. The second thought I would share with you is the transfer of ownership. So maybe the new construction has been the primary, but when ownership changes on facilities, it's quickly followed by different flag strategies, obviously, and then property improvement plans, and the property is going to be way more fluid. If you weren't tracking or very deliberate about tracking the ownership of properties, as well as even the management, as management firms look to shift and adjust their portfolios. As one example that showed up in this plan is that the desire for many of these firms to bring in extended stay properties into their portfolios, because those carried through this in a much stronger capacity than other types of hotels. So just a thought to really think about how you're going to identify this ownership changes that will result in projects yet to be identified, but will quickly come in the year 2021. The third thought I'll leave you with is location, location, location. I was talking with an individual who was in Alpharetta, and they talked about 6 hotels opened up very near to them in the last just a couple months, right through the middle of COVID. So in that location, you would say hotel construction and openings are just skyrocketing, but obviously that's not the case everywhere. So as a location, you're going to have to identify what was maybe once before has paused. Locations where air travel, maybe drive time locations are going to have more significant effort. So locations where you can drive from large populations to vacation or resorts will be different than maybe getting into an airplane as prevalent as we come out of this into 2021. So it's going to be spotty demand. It's going to require you to think about and look for new connections because the geographies are going to be a little bit different, and just kind of a way to think about how you're going to build those connections fastly. You're going to have to think about and find those projects early and get into them early so that you can have time to build that relationship and introduce yourself maybe more than what you've had to in the past. So as you think about that might help you align some of your sales. Now let's dive deeper into the actual tool itself and explore some of the information that might help you as you build out your plan for 2021. Welcome into the Hotel Market Data portal here at Build Central, as we're going to use this to, for the next few minutes, just trying to answer some questions as you think about planning out into 2021. As a business development specialist, one of the things that I spend time doing is thinking about the very basic journalistic questions that I need to find solutions for before I can build a plan together with our team. And so that's really about who, what, where, and when. What is the market going to do in those 4 categories? So that's kind of the way I'm going to approach it here today. Hopefully that's helpful. We're going to start, first of all, with the who. We talked a little bit about one of the significant incidences is that the people in the firms are going to be kind of reshifted as we come out of this. And so thought maybe we could give some insight into the who is going to be developing projects out into 2021. So in the tool here, I'm just going to quickly run through this. It helps you understand how the query is built, and so just take the time to do that. So we're going to look for new properties, repurposed properties, and additions, expansions in the database. So anything that's adding room count really is what I'm looking for here. And we're going to pick only those that we know a start date of that construction, and it's within the next 12-ish months, which would put it into 2021, and then groundbreaking obviously would be now. And so we'll just run a quick search for those projects. It's going to develop here. You're going to see we're tracking 522 projects that are spread out across the country. The purple here, as you're looking at the tool, is those that are in groundbreaking. The yellow are those that are in planning but have a start date defined in the next 12 months or so. You're also going to see the N's and the R's. So N is new, and the R might be in a renovation that's tied in with adding new room count. That could be also be a redeployment of an older property that might be a multifamily into a hotel. So here's kind of the pool: 522 properties that are being planned that we know the actual start date on. Have been confirmed with somebody involved in the project. Now, there's going to be more that start in that time frame, but those are yet to be identified, and so we'll just kind of work with this set of projects that you know that have been verified to start. So what we're going to do is look at the who. So the market leaders is what brings us the ability to do that. So you'll see this pop up now that's showing us the top owners and developers out of that 522 set of projects that have the most rooms in planning and construction. Now these three are tied at the top here at City of Chula Vista, Port of San Diego, and Rita Associates. They're all tied into a Gaylord Resort facility that's being built. And so they're all kind of partial ownership structures and developers in that program, and so they're kind of tied in together. But you'll see some of the other builders here as owners and developers that are working out into these defined. So Lowe's Corporation with 1,388 rooms, Kite, Terra, Turnberry Associates, Garfield, Kaya, I think is how you say it, Hotels and Resorts, Dream Hotel, and First Hospitality Group. Those who have the total in other groundbreaking already or in planning. Let's look at who's got the most actually under construction right now. So that means they're just breaking ground. It sorts the group just a little bit differently here. So Terra, you see at the top, you see Stream Partners come into that Sam Moon, some facilities. And then if we look out into those, only those situations that are in planning have not broken ground yet. Here you sort out the group with that trifecta at the top again, as we bring in maybe Driftwood Capital in the Pacific companies. So there's your who. That's who's got developments that we have validated are under planning for start of construction in the next year or shortly thereafter. When we look at the architects, that part of the who, let's look specifically at those projects that are in planning right now. So as we sort out those, the HKS, the Hospitality Group at Gensler, SMBP Studio, and others associated here, Boca, Benjamin Wu, Fleming, all architects that are working on projects currently slated to start, confirmed to start. So that's kind of the who is going to be playing. We also can do the same with contractors, but with projects in planning, it's a little bit tighter, so we can look at those. A little harder to pull those projects. GCs a lot of times aren't selected yet, but here are the GCs that are working. So answers the who question, and I can dive deeper in this tool, but this will give you the kind of that top 5, top 10 list to make sure that you're at least investigating for your business. So now we'll go to look at some of the others. So we're going to talk now, we're going to go into the analytics tool that's live in the database. So reporters are making changes yesterday and this morning even, and they're building that right into the tool. So this is the best information that we have. And as we look at the what does the market look like over the course of the next 4 quarters? So we have some kind of current supply listing here, but Q4 of 2020, as we plan, these would be opening dates. So this is a current inventory planning to come on board. So you see 2021 and who's bringing new inventory. I like to look at this as a percentage of rooms. So I'm going to go out to Q3 of 2021. And between now and then, if I click on the percentage of rooms, I can identify that luxury is going to add about 5% of the rooms. So we're going to go from what we're tracking at 196,000 to 206,000 rooms in the U.S. That are luxury tied. And you'll see that kind of build out through mid-range, what we title out as mid-range in our scaling, upscale, a 3% add, economy, and budget. One of the hardest hit facets of the scaling has been the budget in this process. Economy, which brings in some of the extended stay, has been doing fairly well, and I would watch for this economy side and mid-range side to really put even more leverage as we come out of this. The green numbers here that you're seeing on the screen are actually the number of projects. So these are new or addition projects that are planned to open. So you can see some pace of the volume as we've identified opening dates. Now, part of the what then would also be maybe slightly into the who is the franchises. So here are the franchise breakouts. Very similar setup here. We have the existing inventory in the first set of pair columns, and then we look out into the next 4 quarters, define construction completion dates, and then we actually list out the additional projects. So here, let's take a look between now and the end of quarter 3. We're going to be adding by percentage. This one came up that was something I just hadn't had a pulse on, was Two Roads Hospitality. So they're going to add about 22% of their total room count in new openings or additional room count. They're going to go from 12,000 to 15,000 rooms, this one franchising entity, and they have another 3 hotels with about 435 rooms planned that may come into this as well. But here you see the top: Omni, My Place, Hyatt, Four Seasons, Value Price. Four Seasons is really making a play. They're very strong opening new entities here this next quarter as we round out the end of 2020 with very little out into the future. So Four Seasons, although it looks strong, it looks as you go out into 2021, we have not identified many, if any, at this point really, that they plan to open. So it's important to look at this kind of longevity of the development so that you understand, if you're planning to be in this entity out in quarter 3, Four Seasons maybe not going to be the place. A couple of things that I would draw your attention to is the ability to look then at kind of where the number of facilities. So this is not by number of rooms, but just total number of facilities in overall planning. You see that Value Place has 18 facilities, or about 12% of their inventory, not necessarily set up to open in the next 4 quarters, but out into the future. So Value Place would be somebody that would be kind of take a look at as they look at growing their footprint percentage-wise. If we look at purely the number of hotels that are in planning, obviously the largest there, Hilton, Marriott. But never forsake this independent. These things move quicker. There's 245 independent hotels identified right now that are in our planning beyond what we already know is going to open in the next 4 quarters. So hopefully that answers a lot about the what is in the pipeline for you and what we've identified. Let's take a look now here if we click on the market. So now this is going to be the where. So these are broken out by the major markets in the country, and we sort that by kind of existing inventory to start. But as we do the similar thing, we look at the percentage of room increase out through quarter 3 of 2021. You'll see Austin jumps to the top. They're going to add about 13% of their inventory, grow it by 13% over the next 4 quarters. And they've got some significant planning out there. So Austin, Jacksonville, San Jose, Nashville by percentage are very strong. If we look at pure hotel count, we can do that here by clicking on in quarter 3 through quarter 3. We're looking at the strongest hotel build out here, obviously in the larger metro areas of New York, Los Angeles, Dallas. Let's go back and look again at that percentage of growth of Austin. So now we know Austin. Where is Austin really going to be building at? And they've got a pretty good development here in the metro area of Austin. So let's dive just a little bit deeper here into one of the wheres. The whens, hopefully you can see, are being answered here on this table as we've been progressed. And I encourage you to pause the video here and study the information that's most important to you. But if we look at the Austin index, you'll see the breakout here is going to be really they're adding in the upscale and mid-range. You can see kind of how that builds out. There's very little that we're identifying in the budget side, and really one hotel in the luxury side that's opening in the first quarter of 2021. So this gives you an idea of the breakout of the scale for Austin. As we look at the franchise players, so Marriott has the largest presence right now as identified by franchise build out, but you're going to see here a little bit of at the tail end of the end. Marriott's kind of continued development here. Hilton is it's got a little spike in the middle of 2021, but this is how the build out of the franchise level, and we can even take you into the chain breakout. So if you look at that, the Hilton Holiday Inn Express pretty strong in the Austin area. We have 20 hotels listed under them right now. But as we look at who's going to be adding the most percentage of rooms here in the Austin area by brand, there's going to be an independent upscale hotel that's adding a significant amount and a couple more opening here real soon. But then Marriott's looking at almost doubling their presence of hotel rooms over the next quarter in the Austin area. So hopefully this information has been helpful. It's something that you can utilize in your development plans. Certainly would love the opportunity to help you in any other way we can, and context will follow here shortly.